Is that the hot seat? Is that the hot seat?
Yes, for you to sit.
That's yours. Have you had experience?
Like, okay.
Thank you. It has no gin in it, right? Well, don't need it. Thank you. It's good. We're good. We're fine.
And they also want to grab my microphone too, so
So are you on yet?
I wrestled them for it.
I'm trying to put some lines here because
There you go.
there are no stops here.
It's called copy marking.
Yeah,
There's
so
a
I
name
did.
for this.
God, look good. Smile, you're on camera. Smile, you're on camera.
Get the best seat in town.
Yes. That's it. sticks are by your hand.
Okay.
Hi there, Monica Pierre.
Do we know exactly?
Oh,
Yeah, how are you?
Monica, you used to listen to me when you were a little kid.
Yes,
I can do it. I'll get down to you. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Hey, what's up?
All right. Yeah, y'all so studious. This is great.
I can see you better. All right.
Skirt. Whatever you're We're waiting for
I think Dr. Barrett.
Oh.
Waiting on that.
He's doing our intro.
Yeah, he's going to introduce everybody. Oh, well, welcome.
How you doing, sir?
Dr. Yamata Walker, Dr. Contessa Metcalf, Dr. Britton Cole,
Hello.
thank you for gracing us with your presence. And more importantly, thank you for agreeing to participate in this forum to share your knowledge and advise our students concerning your experiences as successful black women working in the medical field. Well, Xavier, many Xavier students are in the same shoes that you were wearing not that long ago. Globally, we are still struggling to attract and retain women in STEM fields around the nation. So sessions like this are very necessary to build the next generation of Xavierite doctors while passing down your knowledge and expertise to them. Thank you. You will be equipping them with the tools they will need not only to be great doctors, but to combat the ills and inequalities that our society is facing today, which is directly in line with our mission at Xavier to build a more just and humane society. Xavier's graduated many successful doctors. Many of them are here today at homecoming. And you yourselves are our legacy, what we pass on to the world. Your success is the result of the hard work and dedication that you brought here, as well as passion and dedication, but also the passion and dedication of our faculty and staff that are the heart of Xavier. You are always welcome to Xavier. Please come back. This is your home. And once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Now I'd like you to turn you over to Xavier faculty, award-winning journalist, Ms. Monica Pierre.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Thank you, President Barrett. Thank you and welcome. Yes, this is going to be a candid but lively and spirited conversation about Xavier women in white coats.
All right.
And we're so glad you're here, and welcome back home. Hopefully you've had a wonderful few days.
Oh,
it's been great?
Excellent.
Yes. Excellent. Fantastic. Okay, not yet. After this, right? Okay, great.
Immediately.
Great. Well, we're going to get started, everyone. And again, you are a major part of what we're doing today as we hear from our doctors. And I'd like to introduce them to you for just a moment. And we'll begin with Dr. Contessa Metcalf. And she's also featured on Married to Medicine Atlanta. General practitioner, and Dr. Contessa Metcalf attended Xavier University, where she earned her undergraduate degree. She attended medical school at St. Louis University, and while in St. Louis, she decided, you know what? I'm going to join the Army, or join the Navy as a flight surgeon. And during her residency at the National Naval Medical Center, she also learned how to fly planes. Dr. Metcalf now focuses on occupational and preventative medicine, in addition to owning her own medical service called Acute Face MD, where she provides VIP services for her patients. She and her husband, Scott, have 3 children. Dr. Metcalf lives by the motto, prevention is the key to healthy living. Please welcome Dr. Metcalf. Next is Dr. Britton Cole, featured on Married to Medicine Los Angeles. And you can tell they're great friends, so you're going to see a little bit of that.
Yes.
And Dr. Cole practices anesthesiology, one of the highest paid specialties in the medical field. Before becoming an anesthesiologist, she got some owls.
Right.
Did you know that?
I did not know.
Well, yes, what it says, so it must be true.
Anesthesiologists have been known to work hard and make lots of money.
Well, great. So let that be a learning tip for everybody out there. Dr. Cole was an officer in the Navy alongside Dr. Contessa Metcalf, and she received her undergraduate degree in psychology from Xavier University, and went on to obtain a medical degree from the University of Illinois College of Medicine, and she completed the anesthesiology residency program at Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, and married and been in practice now for 11 to 20 years. And Dr. Cole is married
Tell
to...
him what number.
Okay.
11 to 20.
11 to 20, beginning, then 20, absolutely. Pick a number.
Of a certain age.
That's all you need to know.
Well, Dr. Cole is married to Mac Major. They have 2 children, Ivy and Mac Jr. Please welcome Dr. Cole. And Dr. Yamata Walker. She is featured on Married to Medicine Los Angeles. And Dr. Walker is a psychiatrist, where she serves as medical director of Gateways Hospital and Mental Health Center in Los Angeles. Dr. Walker deals with patients who suffer from mental illness, homelessness, schizophrenia, and chronic depression. She completed her undergraduate degree at Xavier University, applause, and earned a Master of Science degree in Public Health from Tulane University. Dr. Walker obtained her medical degree from New York College and completed her training at Temple University and UCLA. After completing a fellowship in forensic psychiatry, she opened a private practice in Southern California. She has 1 son, Idris, and is married to husband, Phil Johnson. Please welcome Dr. Walker. Well, we're going to jump right into it. Yes. Okay. Okay. Okay,
Well,
perfect.
stop,
Got you.
go,
All right.
stop,
Great.
go. Reset. Rewind. Remix. Remix. That's true. James Patterson.
Okay.
He's a author.
Okay.
And hey, everyone, just remember too, like, no questions that have to do with the TV show. These should all be just questions that
Okay.
we normally ask, like Dr. that was busy. So no questions about Mary to medicine, okay? Thank you.
Yes, okay, all right. Okay. So we're going to do the intros again. Apparently I can do it much better now.
Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah.
I went to New York College of Osteopathic Medicine.
Okay, let's
Because
see.
New York College is a different school.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure. It might be there, but if it's not.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So I'm just going to introduce you all straight again. Okay? All right. So let's welcome our panelists and our guests. Yes, they told me I have to read all of it again.
Okay. So we'll just be super excited this
Okay, we'll be really, really super excited. Yes. Great. So let's welcome our panelists, Dr. Contessa Metcalf. Dr. Metcalf attended Xavier University, where she earned her undergraduate degree. She attended medical school. She attended medical school at St. Louis University. While in St. Louis, she decided to join the Navy as a flight surgeon. During her residency at the National Naval Medical Center, she also learned how to fly planes. And Dr. Metcalf now focuses on occupational and preventive medicine, in addition to owning her own medical concierge service called Acute Face MD, where she provides VIP services for patients. And she and her husband, Scott, have 3 children. Dr. Metcalf lives by the motto, prevention is the key to healthy living. And please welcome Dr. Metcalf. Dr. Britton Cole practices anesthesiology, one of the highest paid specialties in the medical field. Before becoming an anesthesiologist, Dr. Cole was an officer in the Navy alongside Dr. Contessa Metcalf. She received her undergraduate degree in psychology from Xavier University and went on to obtain a medical degree from the University of Illinois College of Medicine. She completed the anesthesiology residency program at Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai and has practiced between 11 to 20 years. So say nearly 20.
Yeah.
Nearly 20 years.
20. Closer to it. Mom.
Closer to 11.
No, it's 17.
17. Dr. Cole is married to Mac Major, and they have 2 children, Ivy and Mac Jr. Please welcome Dr. Cole. And also on the panel is Dr. Yamata Walker. Dr. Walker is a psychiatrist where she serves as medical director of Gateways Hospital and Mental Health Center in Los Angeles. Dr. Walker deals with patients who suffer from mental illness, homelessness, schizophrenia, and chronic depression. She completed her undergraduate degree at Xavier University and earned a Master's of Science degree in Public Health from Tulane University. Dr. Walker obtained her medical degree from New York College of Osteopathic Medicine and completed her training at Temple University and UCLA. And after completing a fellowship in forensic psychiatry, she opened a private practice in Southern California. She has 1 son, Idris, and is married to husband Phil Johnson. Please welcome Dr. Yamata Walker. Well, we have lots of great questions for you. We're going to delve right into it. And let's get started again. Let's talk about your decision. When you knew this was a clear path for you, what motivated you to become a physician? We'd like to start.
I can start. One of the things that motivated me, actually the main thing that motivated me to become a physician is my mother, who I'll probably talk about several times during this speech because she's very inspirational and motivational to me. But my mother knew everything. Back then she was a journalist, and so anytime I would ask her a question, she pretty much would know the answer. But when I would ask her specific questions about the human body, she was like, I really don't know. So she would buy me books, and I'd keep asking questions, and she was like, you know what, I really don't know. So then she bought me an encyclopedia, and then I was like, but what about this? And she's like, you know what, okay, look. She was like, I don't know these answers. I don't have the answers to these questions. And I was like, you know what? My mom, who knows everything, doesn't know the answers to these questions. So I was like, I'm just going to be a doctor. And that was probably sometime when I was about 5 years old. Aside from the fact that I've always had a very morbid curiosity about things, like, you know, back when we were kids, I grew up half in Texas and half in New York, so I'd ride bikes and stuff, and I would see, like, you know, like dead things on the side of the road and be like, oh, that's so cool. And he would be like, Imani, you are so strange. So I was just really intrigued by the human body, the body in general, and so I just wanted to become a doctor for that reason as well. And I think lastly, my parents, so when I was born into the Nation of Islam, which you guys are shaking your head. Most of you know what that is. So I grew up in a home that was very, very keen on Black nationalism, knowledge of self, and so my first doctor was a Black pediatrician. So that was really my blueprint. So I always knew that Black doctors existed, and he was just the sweetest guy, but always knew all the answers. So for me, that's really who I wanted to be, and so that's really what motivated me to become a physician.
Dr. Cole, what motivated you?
You know what? Mine was totally different. So I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I know it's a Chicago club here. And I came from, I did. I put the word out. And I grew up in Inglewood. So for people from Chicago, you probably know where Inglewood is. It's not a good place to be, or to be from, in terms of there's not a lot of, there's no opportunities there. There's no one for you to look up to, really. And I knew at a very young age I wanted out of that. I was like, this will not be my life. I will not be stuck in this neighborhood. And honestly, I really didn't know what to be because I had never really seen anything. No one in my family had gone to college. There were no influential people in my neighborhood. So I looked to television. And at the time that I was growing up, there was a TV show called The Cosby Show. And that for me was very influential because I'd never seen a black family. I mean, you had the Evans family on Good Times, but you had never seen a black affluent family before. And so for me, that was my blueprint. I saw a doctor and a lawyer, and they were rich, and they lived life, and they had this beautiful family, and I was like, that is what I want. I don't want this anymore. And so at a very young age, I said, okay, I'm going to be that. And I just, tunnel vision, I just kept going in that direction. So high school, college, all of it was geared for me to become a physician, just because I knew, from what I thought I knew, that would give me a better life. And I was always a smart kid. I always got good grades. I was an A student, honor roll. So I was like, this is easy. Science, no problem. So it was just easy for me to fall into that because I was a smart kid. I enjoyed it. But that was really my influence because no one around me, I could have worked at Macy's all my life, and everyone would have been fine with it. I didn't have anybody to push me. I didn't have anyone. You know, my mom was, she was a single mom raising 2 kids. She worked 2 full-time jobs. She left at 7 in the morning, got home at 10 at night. And we didn't see her at any point in time. We were at home by ourselves, latchkey kids. So I was my own motivator. And some people have it within them, some people don't. You know, I had grit, and I was like, I'm getting out. That's going to be, my brain is my ticket, and I'm getting out of here. And that was my motivation.
And Dr. Metcalf, what was your...
You did it.
Yeah, I did it.
I was like, I'm out. I'm out.
Well, what about you, Dr. Metcalf?
Well, it's kind of funny because I went through kind of, waves and valleys and, mountains. And I was growing up and I was obsessed with dinosaurs. And so I was like, I loved like all those like movies about like, the treasure hunting. Where's this going? And I wanted to be a paleontologist. And so my mom worked at the post office and my dad was a truck driver. So when I tell my black mother who works nights at the post office, I don't want to be a paleontologist, she was like, well, you go on somewhere with that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, how do they make money? Like, what are you doing? And so it was kind of like not well received. Like, it's not a practical decision. And so in my head, practicality was always driven into me. So I would kind of keep coming back with like different ideas. And she would be like, next. Oh, I'm a creative. I would like to be an artist. Next. Like, how do you make money with that? Next. And so then fast forward to my mother got sick. And so she was unfortunately diagnosed with breast cancer in her 20s. And at that point, she had 3 children in her 20s. And my dad wasn't very reliable. And so my dad also had Crohn's disease. And so we spent a lot of time at the doctors. And so then it got to be that my mom had radiation. And so I remember one summer in particular, like me and my brother and my sister were sitting, my brother was probably 3, but me and my sister, my big sister and me, were sitting in the lobby every single day. Basically, that's how we spent our summer while she was getting radiation. And so we spent so much time in hospitals and clinics. And I just saw the way that she looked at doctors. And it was this admiration and respect. When they talked, she listened, and she believed them. And so I said to her, and I was always a smart kid, like Britton, I said, I want to be a doctor. And she was like, now you got something, And so I stayed with that. And because of, like you said, it was kind of more of a practical decision, I almost became single-minded, focused on how do you do this? Because I didn't have, again, my parents were blue collar, so I didn't have anyone in my family who was in that medical field. And so I started immersing myself in science programs in high school, spent all my summers in summer programs, and so it just kind of continuously got reinforced that, one, I had the aptitude to do it, and I had the attitude to do it, because it's both. A lot of people are smart, but some of the smartest people I met don't have a high school diploma. I'm talking, my dad actually graduated from high school, but he can do what's 347 times 236 in his head, quick math. And I didn't have that. I wasn't actually that way. I had to work and study and wait, hold on a second, let me get some paper and carry the one. So that's how I had to do it, but some people have photographic memories, and you'll come across people like that. And you're like, you should do something else. But it's more about also
it's that grit.
The grit.
Right. That grit.
And also having a blueprint to get to the end, because some people just honestly don't know. And so I was able to, fortunately, fall into summer programs.
I didn't have a blueprint. I didn't do summer programs.
Xavier.
I just took it step by step. Oh, that's what you do next. Oh,
Well, let me ask you this. Now, let's fast forward. You're at Xavier University. In what ways, academic or social, et cetera, did Xavier prepare you for the career that you ended up in?
Well, first, Xavier. So again, everybody around me was going to the state school. right? But I saw all these people kind of like getting to, I'm from Missouri, these big universities, and then just getting lost. They were smart in high school, but then they got to college and they were just mediocre at best.
Guide them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, and we talked about that this weekend a lot, that when I first stepped foot on Xavier's campus, and all three of us were pre-med, it was about, I've heard that y'all have the same thing, but it's like that yellow card, and you have to go to the study center every week, and you have to go get your advisor to check off on their separate card every week, and it holds you accountable. You're like, like, I'm so tired of this thing, but it holds you accountable. And further, to speak to Contessa's point, when you go to a university, you do, to a larger school that's not Xavier, you do have a chance of getting lost, because we were talking about this too. We pushed ourselves. So if we had study groups, if we missed a day, then the 5 other people in our group would be like, where was you at? Were you sick? Or, if you're sick, we'll come bring you some food. Are you okay? There were people who had dropped out. We were like, hey, like if you dropped out, like maybe we can like have a rent party or, do something for you, because we all stuck together. And at bigger schools, especially with pre-med, and especially once I got to med school, it became very cutthroat. And some people would lie about how good their grades were, and then they would fail out. Right. And it's like, and for me, like when I got to med school, I didn't go, there are no black medical schools that I'm aware of, but all of us black and brown folks go, Howard, Mary, my bad, and
Mary, but
my bad. Well,
there are not many.
There aren't that many. But
there's 3.
That being said, I found the black and brown folks, and we were very driven, and we all stuck together, and we're best friends to this day. So we formed our own kind of like crew.
We did the same
We
thing.
found our own tribe. And the other kids, the white kids, they sometimes would like lie and be like, oh yeah, like I got honors on this, and I did, and it was like, well,
you had the old test.
Right. Well, but also still, it was like, if you did, hey, congratulations, I'm happy for you. Like, I'm happy for your success. Like, I'm happy for everybody's success. At the end of the day, I have to worry about.
I just didn't care. I ain't gonna lie.
I was
if some
happy,
other
I didn't
student, like
care.
some white kid, was like, "Yeah, I'm, trying to psych me out," I'd be like, "I just don't care. Why are you talking to me about it?"
Well, yeah. At the end
I'm
of the
not
day,
gonna act like I was happy for some. They're sick.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is that was a nice way of saying, like, yeah, okay, well, good for you. That's all I'm saying.
It's not nice.
But overall, what grade would you give Xavier as preparing you for what was next?
A++.
Yeah, for sure.
Very good. Well, professionalism is something that in many industries they talk a lot about. So when it comes to professionalism in medicine and why cultivating those skills early on is incredible, important, especially before you go to medical school, what would you say about that? How important is, for example, attire, work ethic, being driven, the way you dress, and the way you carry yourself?
Well, I love to dress. I'm always about that. I mean, that stuff is extremely important, and especially and unfortunately because you're black, you are held to a higher standard. So you have to look the best. You have to be the sharpest. Professionalism just doesn't start or stop with what you look like, your attire. It's how you carry yourself. You have to be there from morning to night. Don't complain. I mean, you have to really step it up.
If you're black,
unfortunately, because you're black, you have to do a whole lot more. And that's the other thing. Like, so I'm gonna be honest, I am one of those students, I have a huge attitude, but I'm one of those black folks where people don't know what I am. Right. So I was able to pass a lot, not because I tried to, just because people assumed I was white or Hispanic or whatever they were. If they were Asian, they were like, oh, she mixed with Asian, I could see it. Like, they just assumed I was whatever they. Yeah.
So like I'm actually mixed with Asian.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
Like, so I could tell.
I was on something.
Yeah, like I could see how, in a professional setting, I see how other people see us because I'm standing with them and they think I'm one of them. And there have been times where I had to go to blows with people about shit just because, sorry, y'all are young students, but who said that? But, I mean,
Close to Xavier, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, this is a Catholic school, too. But like I would, some battles I had to fight, or I felt like I had to fight. Some battles I would just have to be like, you know what, I can't change this food. This is what it is. But just know, because I am that fly on the wall, they see us very differently, and you got to step it up. You have to, unfortunately or fortunately, you have to be the best, look the best. You have to have a strong work ethic. I mean,
Can I put you on the spot?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, what's going on here?
When we were in the Navy, we went to this place called Officer Indoctrination School. So it's kind of like boot camp for officers, right? And so it's while you're in medical school, so we're already all medical students in this place. And so it was only a few of us of color in OIS. And so Britain, my best friend since college, was in OIS with me.
We went together.
They knew that we were best friends, so they on purpose put us in different camps, right? And so she was in her group, so we kind of were able to be together like all day because everyone was together like this, had different classes, et cetera, et cetera. So at the end of the day, everybody went to bed, and Britain went back to her camp, and then they said to her,
so what happened was, we had to have our blood drawn, and I passed out. Okay, right. Don't even make sense, right? But I have a thing about
that's what she
tourniquets.
does all day.
I had a thing about tourniquets, so I was like, ooh, I can't. So anyway,
Not the needle, but the tourniquet.
it was a tourniquet. I don't like the cold sensation.
Before they even touching her.
I don't even think they drew the blood. But anyway, so I kind of come to, and I'm in this room, and it's me and this white dude. And so we're talking, and I'm like, yeah, I passed out. It's crazy. And we're just talking. And he was like, why are you talking like that? And I was like,
What are you asking?
why am I talking like what?
Well, like
he was like,
yeah.
right. So he was like, why are you talking like that? And I was like, I don't know what that is. And he was like, why are you talking like you're black? We don't keep talking like that once there's no black people around. And I was like, so I was like, because I'm black. And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it that way.
Right.
But I mean, like,
And the next day, it was a whole different, it was like, did y'all know Britain was black?
I mean,
it's almost like the white people kind of changed.
But you know what? They don't change for long, because people who know I'm black, they forget. And I still hear all the secrets, and I'm like, oh, so that's what you think.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's have a conversation about this, brother.
Yeah. But that was interesting, because that's the point. Even in decades and decades after, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We've supposedly arrived.
We've not.
Not. And it's just now people are a little bit more covert with the way that they kind of,
Well, this is such a good, I'm going to go ahead and call an audible here and talk about what you have experienced or even witnessed when it comes to microaggression or macroaggression. And for example,
nurse instead of a doctor.
yeah, that's exactly right. So for example, people assume that you are the nurse or any other healthcare person or the intake person.
Discipline.
Yeah.
Even after I fully went into a full psychiatric evaluation, it's like, oh, that was cool. So when is my real doctor coming? I'm like, even though my name is on my lab coat that says Dr. Walker, you just gonna let anybody just ask you does it say, are you on drugs? Have you ever been arrested? Who do you think I was?
How do you handle that, Dr. Walker?
You know what? I've handled it with, I have a very quirky personality, and I have a very twisted sense of humor. So I'll say what's on my mind. I'm like, so what, you thought I was a janitor? Not that there's anything wrong with being the janitor, because let me just tell y'all,
my
real
best
talk,
friends everywhere I've been.
Real talk. So I used to be medical director, but I have a new title. I'm chief medical officer of the hospital that I work at, and I'll go into a macroaggression about that in a second. But I will say what's on my mind. So I'm like, okay, so I just asked you, I went through a full 30-minute intake with you, and you thought that I was just whoever off the street. Now when I was a resident and I used to have to, see my patients, and these are patients who are very, very sick. They were, brought in handcuffs because they were doing things, unfortunately, that were just dangerous to themselves or other people. We would oftentimes get the best information from the janitorial service, because they're there all day. And so I ask a patient oh, how are you doing? Are you taking your meds? Are you hearing voices? Are you depressed still? And then the janitor would be like, girl, he was just talking to himself in the bathroom. So, he's saying he's not hearing voices, but you might want to increase that Seroquel a little bit. And I'm like, you know what?
again.
Okay, and they know, and I'll be like, you know what? Thank you, Carlos. I'm gonna give you that solid. Now, macroaggressions, right? I only really experienced one that I can really particularly think of. So when I went to interview for the position that I have now, which is medical director, is very similar to chief medical officer, I had to interview for that position twice, okay? So here I am. I'm always bald, I'm always act the same way. And so I went in, they wanted somebody who had been medical director. So it's kind of like, and I hadn't ever been medical director anywhere, but it's kind of like, well, why I gotta have ID to get ID? You know, but I was like, I know I can do the job. The previous job I had, the medical director was there part of the time because she was actually like having some cancer treatments. So I would be acting medical director while she was gone. So when I went on my first interview, I was like, well, I act as acting medical director and, you know, at this particular location and, you know, blah, 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 blah. And so my interview was like 2 hours long with like 3 different people. And I was like, okay, well, fine. So I'm like, I guess they like me. So then I get a call from the recruiter, and the recruiter said, well, they want to know if you can come back. I was like, back for my job? They're like, well, they want to know if you can come back and interview again. So I was like, all right. So I went back, and so when I went back, the CEO asked me, she said, well, you don't have the experience of being medical director. Are you okay with being just a staff psychiatrist, which I see patients too, so I do administrative work and I also see patients. So she said, would you be okay basically just seeing patients? And I said, well, I didn't come to this interview to just, you know, take a job where I just see patients. So I was like, either you give me this job or I'm gonna just stay at my job that I have now. Like, I'm fine with that. Yeah. Like, I have 5 jobs. I'm Jamaican. I'm like, I have 5 jobs anyway. So I'm just trying to lessen the amount of jobs I have so I can just make more money. And so I was like, look, y'all let me know. And then an hour later, I got a phone call and they were like, you have the job. So I say that because that was a macroaggression. It's the only one I've ever had. But coming to Xavier and being at Xavier, I knew I wanted to be a doctor, but Xavier is the place where I was surrounded by support. And that confidence is what led me to go into that second interview. And I was like, look, here's the deal.
Giving me no lesser position.
This position that I answered for, this application that I put in said for medical director. If y'all want me to be medical director, give me that. If not, deuces. Like, I'm out. Like, I'll be all right. I'm going to be all right.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because it can look so many different ways. Do you ever experience where a patient refused to let you treat them because you were either African American or female or both, or a colleague thought, well, yeah, she's smart and all that, but it was because of affirmative action? What have you experienced?
Well, affirmative action actually benefits white women more than us. So just if y'all didn't know that. So.
Dr. Metcalf?
I was going to say 2 things.
Yes.
Number one, there are levels to this stuff. So based on what she said, that there are levels. So she can do that at that level. I love this quote by Vernon Johns, who is a famous civil rights leader. He said, if you see a good fight, get in it. A good fight. That means not every single thing is worth your time, trouble, or you know, the blowback that's going to happen from you not being able to take this thing, compartmentalize, get through your day, and vent to your best friend, who also works in the industry, and be like, can you believe the crap that happened today? You know, but what she felt and her ability, she had all the criteria and every single check in the box, with the exception of, like you said, well, I need ID to have an ID. Right. ID. She had all the criteria. She had done the job. She had demonstrated that she was capable. And at this point, they were just trying to say, well, we would love to have somebody maybe who doesn't look like you. And so, look, I'm willing to walk away. But if you're in medical school, right, and you have a teacher who just is gunning for you, who's in for you, you're in residency, right, they're gunning for you. You don't need to. Your teacher here is Xavier, who's gunning for you. To me, the energy should be spent on being excellent. Yeah. Because the only thing that they would have to hold against you and to put you out or to, you know, basically hurt you is your attitude that they can say was not professional. But your performance should speak for itself. And so I have, and maybe I'll learn to mute it a little bit because I was in the military and I had, a lot of times I was the one. I was the only black. I was the only black female a lot of times. I learned, pretty much every time, I learned that a lot of people just don't understand. Do you know how many people walked up to me and touched my hair? People still to me sometimes will say, because now I have long hair, but a lot of times, because we switch our look out a lot, I will wear wigs now. I was like, growing up, I thought wigs was like crazy, you know, but now this is like the new hotness. I'm like, oh, what? I can have a different look today and tomorrow in like 30 seconds? Like, what? My mind. But, and I spent 3 days at the hair salon, like, thank you. But that is something that people still to me today will say crazy stuff to me. At work, I'm at work and people say stuff to me. If I don't respond,
I'm not nice.
But it's not. But wait. But what I'm saying is.
Yeah.
But
How do
wait.
you
What I'm
treat- how do you
saying.
deal with
Wait.
the
Let
rejection?
me finish.
I love to fight.
But I'm saying, but you have to also not fight all the time about everything. If you get to the point where you are a boss, sometimes you'll fight. Sometimes your mouth will get you kicked out. And all you have is your indignation about how that was wrong, but you still will be kicked out and you will be a memory that no one will be thinking
Well,
about.
and it depends on who you're fighting
So exactly.
with.
So what I'm saying is sometimes you actually did deserve better. You actually did not do anything to warrant the treatment that you're receiving. But that person's issue is internal. And you talking back, mouthing off, ain't gonna change their opinion of anything. So you just get through, if you have a month with them, a week with them, 6 months, a year, get through your time, get what you need from them, and move on. And use that as armor to make you stronger for the next powerful person who's going to try to take you out, because it's going to always happen in your life.
So, Dr. Cole, I'd like for you to share one of your experiences.
I mean, what I was going to say is I'm not as nice as her. I'm not as diplomatic as her, and I love to fight. So me going through all of my experiences, being in the military, one, if you're a woman, it's a male-dominated field, right? The military is all men. So just being a woman, black woman, whatever woman, it don't even matter. You'll get the brunt of a lot of stuff just because you're a woman. Now, my personality, there have been times where I've had a surgeon who yelled at a resident of mine, just yelled at one of my residents. And I was like, oh, who you talking to? You will not talk. You talk to your resident like that. You don't ever come to my resident telling him what to do. You talk to me first.
Talking to another boss.
Right, so it was a lateral move. That's the difference. Who you're talking to makes a huge difference. When I moved to Florida, there was this neurosurgeon who everybody was afraid of, and we didn't agree on something. So he came into the OR, was yelling about something, and I said, oh, that tube is in? My CRNA, I was like, you wait right here. I was like, who are you talking to? Ran out the OR. Everybody was like, oh my God, who is this new? Because I was brand new. No one knew who I was. I just started. But I was like, you will learn who I am. You will never talk to me like that. And I explained to him, I said, listen, if you have a problem, you will address me with whatever that problem is. You will not ever blow up on me. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I was like, yeah, you didn't. Yeah. Now you do. Don't ever make that mistake again. And in the OR, I'm a beast. I don't play that because pretty much all the surgeons, I would say 95% are men. And so I am that person who I will not be silenced. You will not make me look bad. And as a matter of fact, if you make anybody in that OR look bad, I will say something. And there have been times, and another general surgeon I worked with, he was yelling at people, they throw instruments, and I was like, dude, what is your problem? First of all, you are unprofessional. Don't treat people that way. This is a team. We work together. If you can't work in this team, then you need to beat it. But don't talk to these people this way. This was said in front of everybody. I don't play that. I do not like I don't like for people to make me feel like I am subordinate or
So you teach them from the beginning how to treat you.
I teach them from day
It's a
one.
peer.
Well, but here's the other thing. In anesthesia, I worked in a private practice group. So everyone in my group was my peer. So there was really no boss. You know what I mean? Like we were all partners. There was no. But again, the hospital and the surgeon for anesthesia, for those of you who are interested in it, the surgeons do dictate which anesthesia group is the provider. So to some degree, the surgeon is kind of my boss because they can say, I don't want that anesthesia group. But I said what I had to say very professionally. I didn't curse, believe it or not. And they learned, okay, she's not going to take it. She's that one. And I think the fact that they would know I was in the military, they're like, oh, yeah, I heard you in the military. And okay, I'm like, yeah, I was. Don't let me get crazy on you. I will get Iraq on you up in here. Don't so, but I think you need to set a bar just like you did. Like, listen, this is what I will expect from you. And you have to treat me accordingly.
And be
Otherwise,
consistent
they'll
with
walk
that.
over you.
I want you all to get your questions together for our panel. They're terrific. And if you have a question, we do have a microphone. And if we could get the microphone to you, please give us your name, if you're a Xavier student, your major, and also your classification, and then you may ask your question. So are we going to get the mics to them, or are they going to come to the mic? Oh, okay, so it'll be there. So just make sure that you get my attention. If you have a question for any of our panelists, please come to the microphone. Is it on? Okay. Your name, major, classification, and question. Go ahead and raise it up. Yeah, you should be on. Okay, you're on.
My name is Ayana Hayward, and I'm a chemistry pre-med major, and I'm a freshman. And I wanted to know how you guys deal with time management.
Okay.
Always a big question.
Set a schedule.
Yeah, well,
Set a schedule.
yeah, I will say, I actually said to Brittany and Contessa when we first got here, I was like, remember when we had time to be bored? Like, remember that? Like, I remember being at Xavier, like, I'm bored. Maybe I'll go to, like, the quarter, or maybe I'll go to, like, the park. Right, whatever. I think, especially because we're all married and we all have kids, like, with each kind of milestone that we reach, our time does get more and more limited. I think the best way to do time management is, for me, I get up early. I get up insanely early. I get up at 5 a.m. I'm not suggesting you got to get up at 5 a.m., but to me, that's kind of like the sweet spot, like the best time to get up and just kind of have a little bit of time to myself. So I get up, I get a little bit of time to myself, I work out, come back. I know exactly how long it takes to drive from the gym back home. I know exactly how long it takes to make my son breakfast and fix his lunch. I know exactly how long it takes for me to drive him to school and come back home. Like, you have to really be very diligent about that. But I think the most important thing as you get older about time management are two things. One is ask for help. You cannot do it by yourself. You can't. It takes a village to raise a child. It's going to take a village to keep your sanity. The other thing I would recommend that you do is you really do need to carve time out in your schedule for yourself, because there will come a point where you might get a little too busy. You get a little older. You become so used to, like Contessa talked about this a little while ago, being selfless. So once you get to medical school, you are so consumed with just wanting to do well and being the best, and then you become a resident and you got to deal with your patients. We're doctors now. Sometimes I'm telling you to schedule time for yourself. I oftentimes don't, because I'm the chief medical officer. If somebody underneath me messes up, it all comes back to me. So I have to go and fill in. But that being said, sometimes, look, I'm like, you know what? Y'all are okay. I'm going to go take a nap. Or I might take the day off and not tell nobody.
Except me. She is never at work.
Yes, I am at work.
What you doing? Oh, I'm
asleep.
I'm going to go
I'm
and work
asleep.
about an hour.
No one told you to be an anesthesiologist. I'm just like, look, psychiatry is cush. Anyway, that being said, you have to really, really be diligent about your time, and you really, like, legit be selfish for yourself. Be selfish. Because growing up, I'm an only child. Everybody was like, Imani, you so selfish, blah, blah, blah. When I got older, I'm like, you know what? I need to be selfish. Like, I do so many things for other people. You got to be selfish for yourself. You got to carve time out for yourself, because if not, you are going to be run down with little to show for it.
Yeah, self-care is important.
Yes, it's so important. So just, start. I mean, you're kind of early in the game. You're early in your career, but just, if there's one thing I would remember is, as you go along, just be a little selfish for yourself. Like Britton said this to somebody not so long ago, like, go to sleep. Like,
I do not.
Go to
never
sleep.
Have done all-nighters.
Me neither. Go to sleep.
That's knowing who you are. Right. For me, all-nighters never worked.
I learned.
I had to sleep. So if I was tired, there was no way I could retain any more information if I was studying for a test. So I was like, it's 10 o'clock, I'm going to bed, y'all. Peace, see you in the morning. But like, that's who I am. So I knew what my limitations were. And as you journey through the different stages, med school, residency, and all that stuff, you'll start to have kind of an idea of what works for you. you'll know what time, are you a morning person, are you an evening person? You'll kind of have an idea of that, and you will slowly get into a rhythm. That rhythm comes, and there's not much you can do about it because you will figure out, okay, if I don't do it this time, it's not going to get done. If I don't do this at this time, it's not going to get done. So you kind of learn as you go of how to kind of create that schedule that works best for you, but listen to your body. That's number one. Listen to your body, and if you need the time, like me, I didn't do all-nighters. I went to bed, and I think I still look good because I did. I know a lot of OBGYN residents, I'm like, ooh, you look haggard.
Plus Botox.
Oh, no, not Botox.
Okay. But Dr. Metcalf, any other piece of advice for management of time?
I would say two things. Number one, learn how to say no.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at this, and I'm speaking like out loud, and I'm listening to my own advice, which I'm not taking because I have 3 kids, and I get pulled in a lot of different directions. But Britton is like she's amazing for me because I'll be like, oh, the kids have a birthday party this day. She's like,
Stop them birthday parties.
stop doing all that.
Gotta go out and parties.
Another birthday party next year?
And
I have to keep her on her no path.
And see, and so don't let anyone steal your time. And if it's things that you really don't want to do, be okay with saying no. You don't have to lie. Be honest about it. Don't say I may come or yes, I'm coming when you know already that you're really not. Just say I can't fit it into my schedule. I'm already booked up that day. Be honest about it, but you know that if you, like we were talking about, like the sleep thing, if you know that you got this to do, that you got to study, then somebody's doing this, and it's not something that's super important, then don't do it. But that's what I got in trouble with that. I did a lot of, I say like yes to a lot of stuff, and I've got to start saying no. And that will give me back some of my time because the stuff that I say yes to doesn't always, it's not always important to me. So prioritization. And then the second thing is iron sharpens iron. And so in life, sometimes your friends can see things, or your family and the people who love you can see things that's happening in your life that's not good for you that you maybe can't see because you're in the moment. And so surround yourself with people, and only people who have your best interest at heart. And that alone will cut out those people who steal your time and don't give anything back. It's all about reciprocity. And so that's 2 things I would just say that's going to be something in life that should be sustainable.
You can all use that. Thank you very for your question. Very good. We have another question.
Y'all should be doctors or something.
Move the mic over in the right position so we can see all these different.
Okay, we still want the question, right? We're good, yes. If you could come here, that would be great. And of course, we'll get that together in just a second here. Okay. Okay. Were you next for your question? Please, your name, classification, if it's applicable, and your major.
So my name is Todd Hall. I'm a biology pre-med, and I'm a freshman. So for me, this question is geared towards, I guess, my future and what I want to do now. But my hopes is to be the first African-American certified bariatric and plastic and cosmetic surgeon to take a holistic approach to morbidly obese people. And even being able to look at your current journey and wanting to switch your careers around, I wanted to know, what do you recommend I do? Do I start off in both specialties, or should I, or try to, what would be your advice as well as going into my own private practice?
Yeah,
Since I'm in
she's a
anesthesia,
surgeon.
I
Yes,
work
this is
with
surgeon.
surgeons.
Yeah,
You want to do bariatrics and cosmetics.
but that's all plastics.
That's the one.
So what you would do is a general surgery residency.
And how long is that?
That's about 5 years. From there, you can do a fellowship in plastics or bariatrics. You can do both fellowships, but you'll be training for
Forever.
each fellowship is about 4 years. So, it's a long journey. And I will tell you, most people don't do cosmetics and bariatrics. So you'd be the first, period. I don't know if you'd be the first African American. You certainly be the first person to do that, because that's a lot. To run a bariatric service and to run a cosmetic surgery service, that is a huge undertaking, because you're essentially being 2 different types of surgeons. So is it possible? Anything is possible. But I think you probably might want to see which one you like first, because to do both with time management, I don't know that there's that much time in the world that you'd be able to do both and run 2 practices that kind of encompasses both of them. Because usually if you're doing bariatrics, like the patient population that you get are overweight people who are trying to lose weight. And then for the cosmetic part of it, like,
It's a different patient
it's
population.
totally different.
It's like months later, they've lost the weight and they have.
It's like doing psychiatry and anesthesia. It seems like they're similar, but they're totally different. So like it's hard to do both because they're so like they're polar opposites almost.
And not to dissuade you, but like when I first started at Xavier, I was also biology pre-med, and I was like, I want to be a surgeon because I was like, surgeons, the surgeons are all so like there's just so much acclaim to be a surgeon. And then I changed to wanting to be a forensic pathologist, and I was because I just really, yeah, I wanted to do path because I knew myself at that time a little bit better, and I was like, well, I like things to be quiet, and dead people don't complain.
And sleep people don't either.
Well, true. But then when I did, and there is a part of forensic pathology where you have to do sometimes what are called psychological autopsies, where someone will die and then you kind of have to reconstruct why they may have done, like if someone committed suicide, why they did it. But then when I did my psychiatry rotation in medical school, I was like, I've always wanted to be a writer, and actually I have a book coming out. We'll talk about that later. But I wanted to be a writer, and my mom was a journalist, so I was like, so wait, I get my own office from day one. It's quiet. I get to close the door. I get to sit down. Because in medicine, it's a lot of rotating. It's a lot of getting up at like crazy hours to round, and you're in patients' hospital rooms. And psychiatry is like Britton always teases me. She's like, you on your way to work? I'm like, yeah, it's 1 o'clock. But I guess what I'm saying is not to dissuade you, but you might do general and then decide, like, you know what, I just want to do bariatrics, or I just want to do cosmetic, or maybe you might do cosmetics and work with a bariatric surgeon, and then you can kind of, you know what I'm saying? So just kind of see, I mean, obviously, like, I don't want to deter you from any dream you may have, but, you know, just give yourself the space to kind of see where you go. Because you may still end up on the same path, but you might end up someplace different. And you might end up someplace different, and you might end up on a different path than what you thought you were originally going to do.
Based on some information. Yes. Yeah. Dr. Metcalf?
I'm an eternal optimist. So what I would say to you is 2 things. Mentorship is so important. So since those 2 things kind of don't exist really in tandem, I would find a bariatric surgeon and a plastic surgeon. And from here on out, have them mentor you. Because it's possible that maybe you're the first one. No one else ever really thought about doing it that way. And so that's how greatness exists. There's always a first. And so it's possible that you can maybe create that by grandfathering your way into one versus another one. So you become a plastic surgeon, but you learn, but I'm saying we have no idea what the future holds. And so you get skill sets that basically serve both. And you can maybe, petition the board of bariatrics to, take the boards and become boarded in it, even though you're a plastic surgeon, or vice versa. And so I'm saying I'm not exactly sure which route would be best for you, but the way that the system exists right now is 2 different routes, like they were saying. But find mentors to help you kind of formulate your plan.
Thank you for your question very much. We're going to wrap up, but I'd like to just go down and ask you just for a quick piece of advice or final words or thoughts for those gathered today as we talk about Xavier's Women in White Coats. And this has been wonderful. Don't you agree? You've learned a lot. You are just so glad you came home. So let's begin with you, Dr. Metcalf. Just a piece of advice or some final thoughts.
Well, let me see. I don't know if this is mine. This beat back in. I just finished my first book too. Did we talk about that? I just finished my first book, so it's getting edited. So I just finished my first book, and I would say that one thing that, even though you guys are all pre-med, things change. Some people have creative aspects to themselves that you think may not be explored because you become a doctor, but don't believe that you YOLO, what is it? You only get one life. You can do several things in this one life. So for the next 4 years, you go to college. Then 4 years after that, you go to medical school. But then you may decide that you want to go to public health school, or you may decide that you want to travel for a year, do some research. So your path can change all the time. Don't be committed to something that you felt today or feel like you failed because you don't want it anymore in the future because your life changed.
Good advice. Dr. Cole?
I would just say keep that internal grit. Like, that's just who I am. Like, keep that internal grit. Don't let anyone get you off your path, wherever that path is. And follow your heart. Follow that gut, that thing that tells you this is what I want to do. And just stay focused. Stay on that path.
And Dr. Walker? And the book. Don't forget the book.
Sure, no, I will not forget the book. So I was talking to Brittany about this a little while ago. Take care of yourself. Like, seriously, take care of yourself. One of the things that doctors are notorious for is not taking care of themselves physically, nutritionally. We don't get nutrition classes.
Mentally.
Right, we don't. Right, exactly. And I can say I definitely been burned out for years, but I'm doing a lot better because I'm taking time for myself. So you have to eat right. You got to go to sleep. Even though this industry is tailored to creating medicine bots, okay? And this is kind of what they want you all to believe. You cannot run on fumes. If it's okay to say that you're not doing okay, because if you're someone like me who, Britton said that she knows that when I need help, I don't need help. I'm independent. I don't need nobody's help. But I don't need anything.
I know.
But she
40 years old.
right. With an Excel spreadsheet. But she does know, and I do have a hard time asking for help. But that combined with my family genetics means that I'm a psychiatrist and I deal with panic attacks. I have depression sometimes, and I have anxiety. And so I decided to admit that to myself, but also admit it to the world. So I have a book coming out that is going to be dealing with that. It's going to be published on HarperCollins Publishing. You all will get a chance to read it very soon. But it basically chronicles my journey from being a kid who, my mother, real talk, I came from a very well-to-do family. My father's an engineer. My mother was a journalist. My father, unfortunately, succumbed to crack addiction and abandoned me and my mother when I was 8 years old. And I have problems with that. And I still have problems with it. But I had to get the help that I needed, despite the fact that I'm like, I don't need no help. So take care of yourselves. Like, please do not listen to people who, if being a doctor is what you really want to do, and you get to med school, and people are like, well, I only got 2 hours of sleep, and they're trying to wear it as a badge, be like, I got 8 hours of sleep last night, so I don't know what you're talking about.
And I feel good.
Right, and I feel great. So if you want to go pass out in the bathroom, like, good luck, because I'm about to take this test and kill it. So, so just take care of yourselves.
Very good. At that note, we're going to wrap it up. We want to thank our audience for being with us. Students, thank you so much for being with us. Hopefully you have been inspired and that you have been motivated to follow your dreams. We want to thank Dr. Metcalf, Dr. Cole, and Dr. Walker for spending your time not only this afternoon, but this homecoming weekend. Was good. I teach here, so I always, before the end of this class,